Chris Mackowski of Emerging Civil War. I'm with Tim Talbott, Director of Education and Interpretation at Pamplin Park down in Petersburg. And Tim, you've got something really special for us to take a quick look at here today.
Sure. So we're really happy to have our new temporary exhibit here at Pamplin Park called We Fight for Our Rights, Liberty, Justice, and Union, which really talks about the USCT experience during the Civil War. And we have some amazing artifacts here, some documents that people aren't normally going to see, with lots of connections to these United States Colored Troop soldiers.
Now, you made a comment to me a few minutes ago about the order in which the men placed their priorities as far as rights, liberty, freedom, and then union.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We took that from a document on the 37th United States Colored Infantry, and the order that they put that in, it kind of shows their priorities on what they're actually trying to achieve from this participation in the war. You know, fighting for their rights, to be considered men, to have, to be recognized as citizens and have those rights under the Constitution, justice, liberty, of course, they're fighting to end slavery itself, and then union. They think that's probably, of course, the best chance for them to recognize and have those rights and liberties is within the union of representative democracy.
So through the magic of technology, we're going to take a step inside the exhibit and find some more details here about it. So we've moved inside the exhibit area, and we've got a couple really cool rifles behind us. Tell us a little bit about those, Tim.
Yeah, so we were able to loan or borrow a couple of USCT weapons. One is an 1863 Springfield rifle musket, and the other one is an 1853 Enfield rifle musket, which were both used by Pennsylvania-raised soldiers, but it's interesting that they were using different weapons, and they were serving in kind of different parts. The soldier who was using that 1863 Springfield rifle musket was actually fighting in here around Petersburg in the 43rd. This soldier, Isaac Winters, is actually going to be wounded in the Battle of the Crater. And then the other soldier, John Warfel, was in the 32nd United States Colored Infantry, and he's going to be fighting mainly in the Department of the South, so down South Carolina, Georgia, Florida area. And we have not only their rifles, but also some of their accoutrements too, bayonet, scabbard, cartridge box, waist belt. So those items are pretty rare to find for United States Colored troops that have that really solid provenance, and we're happy to show them to our guests.
And one of the soldiers actually carved his initials and his company and his regiment into the butt of his barrel.
That's right. So the Isaac Winters rifle has his initials, ICW, and then also Company F, 43rd, carved into the stock. So it's really nice to have that evidence of this being a USCT rifle.
That's really neat to have that sort of tangible connection, and it makes, you know, what's otherwise maybe just a gun, something that belonged to somebody, and that person's got a story. And
yeah, and to know that these soldiers continue to hold on to these material culture items after their service, maybe as a reminder of what they had sacrificed. Since Winters was wounded in the Battle of Crater, I'm sure they put some deep stock into having these things for years after and passing them on to their descendants.
I'm going to swing around here just a quick second, because there's a really neat document behind us over here. Tell us a little bit about this image that we're looking at here.
So what you see here in this image is a handbill or a broadside that was passed out by United States Colored Troops recruiters as they went into the occupied parts of the South trying to raise men for these regiments. And as you can see on it, it would be useful for men who are either illiterate or literate. On the front side, it shows really what these units are fighting for. And then on the back side, you can see this little part here has some wording saying that by proclamation of Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863, all slaves are now considered free men. Come and join the ranks and help them fight. So this is just a really fascinating artifact to have here from our collections.
Now we're going to jump across the room for just a second to another part of that collection. Here we've got some photos behind us. Tell us about these guys.
Yeah, we're fortunate to get some of these items on loan from other private collectors, museums, to add to our already formed collection. The William Gladstone collection, some of you are probably familiar with William Gladstone, was a big collector. And one of the best things that we have, or one of the most fascinating things we have, is a huge collection of CDVs. And the ones that you see over our shoulders here are white officers who served in United States Colored regiments. And this is just a small sampling of our actual collection that we have, but it's really fascinating to see these men. And it's interesting to learn a little bit about how white officers came to serve these units. A lot of them have to go through or pretty much all of them have to go through a board and pass a test in order to be considered fit leaders of these men, teaching them the things they needed to be effective soldiers.
So we're going to continue to move our way through the gallery here. Lots of really cool stuff. So we're just giving you some highlights. One of the highlights is this sword on the wall behind us.
Yeah, so we were really fortunate to make a connection with collector Kurt Luther and borrow a sword that was owned by an adjutant in the 4th United States Colored Infantry. And if you know United States Colored Troops, you know the 4th had a huge part to play in this, this fight that they had, especially here around Petersburg. They're going to be a major player in the June 15th attacks on Petersburg. And of course, they're going to be leading the attack at Newmarket Heights on September 29th, 1864, right outside of Richmond. So it's really neat to have an item that connects us to those famous battles and that really famous unit. But we also have a drum here from the 55th Massachusetts, which is, of course, the sister unit to the famous 54th that the movie Glory is about. And we also have a camp desk from the 23rd United States Colored Infantry, and they're another one of those units who fought at the Battle of the Crater here at Petersburg. So we've got lots of connections to Petersburg and the Petersburg campaign here in this particular exhibit.
And I've got to point this out since we just passed by a big bookshelf, and I love books. Books are fun. Some suggested reading there. Tim, if someone were to pick up a book, you've got plenty to choose from back here. Anything in particular you would recommend?
Oh, there's lots of good choices. The scholarship on USCTs has just really blown up over the last 10 or 15 years or so. They're examining lots of topics that had never been explored much before. So how the war is affecting Black families on the Northern home front, what these men are fighting for as far as free Black men in the North. You know, some of them are really pushing for this idea of citizenship and the ideas of being able to vote, things that are eventually going to be realized with the 14th and 15th Amendments. But this is before that, and these guys are really pushing for those things to make them equal citizens and hold the country to those promises in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
And then we're just going to swivel around here. A display that I think is particularly cool, Medal of Honor and some Butler medallions and stuff. Tell me all about this cool stuff.
We want to make sure that we share the story of the United States Colored Troops men who received the Medal of Honor. And we have a display over here over my shoulder explaining not only the men who are in the infantry, but also some of the sailors in the Navy who received the Medal of Honor. But we were also able to borrow the picture that's over your shoulder, which is 3 Medals of Honor, which was painted by Don Troiani, the famous Civil War artist, and depicts the 6th United States Colored Infantry there at Newmarket Heights on September 29th, 1864. 3 of their men are going to receive the Medal of Honor, 2 Black soldiers and 1 white officer. And one of those Black soldiers, we're really fortunate also to have his Butler Medal, which General Benjamin Butler felt that in this battle, 14 Medals of Honor that were received by men were just not enough. So he wanted to make sure that those men were recognized with a special medal that he had himself commissioned and cast. And he gave almost 200 of those out to the soldiers. And we have Alexander Kelly's medal, who was a first sergeant in the 6th United States Colored Infantry from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Go Pittsburgh, go Pitt.
So it's a very rare item. There's not many of them still in existence, but make sure you come and see it before the exhibit closes in November.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about this exhibit as we worked our way through, lots of great artifacts, which we've been able to kind of highlight a few of them here, but definitely something folks want to come see for themselves. But like a very good overview of the Black experience during the war. And, you know, a display that we looked at a second ago, just notable battles that USCT were involved in, some important personalities, everyone from Frederick Douglass, who folks might expect, to Patrick Claiborne, who's someone people might not expect. A panel over here about the 13th Amendment. So a very good overall view of the USCT. And I know that this has been something that's personally of interest to you. Why have you been connected to this story?
Well, it's always something that sort of rang, this idea of trying to fight for one's equality is something that's always rang really strong within my heart. You know, these men sacrificed a whole lot for a country that didn't even recognize them as citizens at this time. So as much acknowledgement and as much recognition as we can give to these men for their sacrifices, it's way long overdue for us to do so.
So we can find all this cool stuff here at Pamplin Park in their exhibit center. And you said the exhibit's on display until November.
To the end of November, November 30th. So
Very good. We've got more to explore here at Pamplin Park. Tim Talbott, Chris Mackowski here for Emerging Civil War. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned.